Okay, check. Gotta give it a moment. Check. 1, 2. There's always a delay on my phone when I'm on the stream. Check. Okay. Let's turn it down a smidge more. As we are back, hope everybody's doing well today. We're back for another live stream. If you're watching the replay of the stream and you feel like leaving comments on the video after the stream is done, be sure to share your thoughts. We're preparing to discuss Andor episode 10. For the most part, most of the scenes of episode 10, we're going to talk, have a chat, discuss. And as always, the stream depends on people showing up and chilling with me and everything, because as always, I don't like to just like be talking, staring at the camera. Episode 10. Okay. The guy, what's going on, dude? How are you? Hope you're doing well today. Hope that your Friday and your week has treated you well. Mine's has been, even though I'm off, it's been a little stressful. I put up a community tab, but I put it in the wrong channel. I have another YouTube channel, anime channel, and I put it in the wrong channel. It was like a couple hours ago, and I was like, wait, what did I do? No, I gotta take that one down. But yes, guys, we're here. We're diving into Andor episode 10. What an episode, right? Seriously, guys, what an episode. What an episode. But let's get it started. Let's go. Because there's so much that we have to talk about. Like, seriously. Glad you're doing well. Glad you're doing good. Like I said, I'm doing fairly okay. Just had some stresses. Dealing with life, dealing with some very important family stuff. So that I had actually put in the community tab before, but in the wrong channel. But just to set up a reminder for folks, but it's all good. So we are here to discuss this. Most of the scenes. I just finalized what images that I wanted to use, all of that for the stream. I just finalized that like literally like 20 some odd minutes ago, like 22, 23 minutes ago, roughly. And I've been working since yesterday. But you know, at the same time, life was happening for me, so I kind of had to like go from home to somewhere else and other places, and coming back and trying to get stuff done. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. But I'm gonna come off camera. I'm just gonna get started. Hopefully others will show up and we can continue to dive into what we want to talk about today. I may pop back in camera wise, but let's go. The opening, the opening of episode 10. R.I.P. to the homie Olaf, as they were basically taking him out. And it sucks because, you know, he was a part of this group, part of the 5th floor, and it just sucks that, you know, they had to still be in program, right? And it was like, you know, they had to keep their eyes forward, you know, all of that. And it really just sucks that, you know, that they couldn't even really look at. There were a couple of inmates that did look at him, but for the most part, a lot of them kept their eyes straight, which was, it just sucked. Like, I was just like, man, like, sucked indeed. But then we get a favorite conversation. A really good conversation. And an interesting scuffle in the midst of, the disagreement of wanting to start a mission, coming up with a plan. You could see here that Kino was still not, he didn't make up his full mind on what he wanted to do per joining the prison break. But we don't know what's really going on in his mind until the inevitable happens at the end of the episode. Just before the another top notch scene from Skarsgård channeling his inner Luthen. But I definitely like how they were going back and forth, specifically with Cassian saying what he's saying to Kino, and of course Kino using those same words later moving forward was just like, yeah. But at the same time, I understand why he specifically used those words. He could, because Kino was still going through trying to figure out how to say stuff verbally. But one of the things that I did like, again with Kino, how everybody was looking towards Cassian and Kino specifically as they're coming back. They're trying to ask questions. They're hearing about Olaf passing and trying to get confirmation about it. When we see Kino before he even goes fully into his his bunk, basically, that he looks at his time. If you see there at the bottom right corner, he stares at his time. To me, this is what it signaled to me when he was staring at his time. And I actually focus on Cassian's time in a little bit, and basically within, I want to say, 5-6 minutes later here. Maybe 4, maybe 3. But I feel like Kino was saying to himself in this moment when he was looking at his specific time, that he was telling himself, like, all I had to do was wait, only had, several months left. And he knows that in his mind, again, we don't know what he's thinking, but in his mind, I feel like he's telling himself, like, it's either I'm gonna die or I'm gonna add more time to my sentence now. This is what I viewed specifically per this spot here. Once they got back, that's what I was thinking after rewatching the episode so many times. And then of course that's when we get, people still talking, and we see Kino going through the motions here because he's looking away from his time. And he had to fight himself. He had to wrestle with himself here. This is what I just feel like he was doing before he said the inevitable, that nobody is getting out, not anymore. And it's true. It's true that this is what happened. This is what occurred. This is what happened with those 100 men. It's all true, just like Han Solo. It's true, all of it. But he's going around the room and telling them, like, this is what we're getting ready to do. This is what we're getting ready to prepare to do. And we gotta get ready to buckle down and prepare for what we're planning to do. And I do want to say that I love how they orchestrated this, all of them from 5D. I like how they orchestrated it literally within hours, like a short period of time. I don't even think they slept 8 hours, because Cassian for sure did not. We know that for sure. He was wide awake here the very next morning. So yeah, but once we move from that to, then we go to the ISB. And something interesting about the ISB, they do focus on specific system here, with Dedra looking at the screen here as Partagas is walking into the room. specifically from what I found out, that they were heading to, if I remember correctly, Krenix, something like that. It starts with a K, and specifically that that specific system, that specific world, is literally another pinpoint to Rogue One, from what I found out per this scene here. That eventually, they're tying in everything for this first season into, again, at the end of season 2. Once we get there, gonna walk us into Rogue One, just like how Rogue One walked us into A New Hope. But something interesting that I found here in this scene, because one, they do focus on Lonnie. Definitely did not see that coming with Lonnie. But then two, our girl Dedra, she tries to hand Partagas, the information for him to take it out of her hand and hold it. He walked right by her. He was just like, I don't want that. I don't need that. Now I wonder where he was coming from, though. I wonder where Partagas was coming from, because again, he has his coat and stuff, with gloves and all of that. So I'm curious as to wondering where specifically Partagas was coming from. But again, Lonnie here, they focused on him specifically here in this episode, and they had specific conversation where he was able to basically manipulate the ISB in this moment. But at the same time, if you notice, Dedra, she's staring at Lonnie because I feel like she's taken aback, because she was very confident in everything that she did up to this point, but in this moment she got ignored by Partagas and was listening to Lonnie. I'm not saying that it's a full-on bad thing, but it had her feel some type of way. That's how I looked at this scene here. As Lonnie was saying, like, we should go this route, do this, blah 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 with Krieger, blah blah blah, and of course Partagas does indeed heed that. But again, you really didn't know what Lonnie was really up to until it was time. And like I mentioned with Cassian, he didn't sleep. And I like how when they focused on his time specifically, that it went down one day. It was sitting at, looks like 21:36, and it went down 21:35. So it just shows us that yes, time is ever so moving. But again, it's crazy how Cassian did what he did, basically running on fumes, basically because he didn't sleep. He didn't sleep at all, like not an inkling. And then that's when, of course, we have the homie Kino get up and say such a speech that they actually advertised in the teaser trailer for the episode. And Kino basically said what he said. It was a couple of things, two things that he said. One was the fact that he was motivating the prisoners to prepare them to go out here. He's basically saying it's not business as normal. Basically, we got to get ready to get the heck out of here. We need all hands on deck. But the fact that per the trailer, and he says it here, like, I have to look at this, and I even shared this scene, at least over the microphone, because I didn't want to share it here on the stream, that he basically tells them, like, I might as well consider myself dead right now, because that's basically how I'm seeing it. And for us, the fans, we're sitting back like, no, like, you didn't need to say that. You're confirming that you're not getting out of here. Come on, Kino, homie, don't do this to us, right? But with that, once he gets done talking, I like how the lights come on as soon as he's done. Like, as soon as he puts a period in his sentence, the lights come on and it's time for them to head to their stations. I really like the timing of how they did that. They do this a couple of times here in this episode. They really, really do. And I love how they do that here in episode 10. But once they go out, this is when we're seeing them starting to really fully set up stuff. They're normally working, but Cassian and others are paying attention to the guards. And like I said, they put all this stuff in motion, basically within a couple of hours or so, or whatever, they were able to come up with a plan and make it work. Like, usually it would take some time to do it, but at the same time, I want to believe that, Cashin, because how he was coming here, he was doing stuff. He was, when he first arrived, like I was talking about last week, he was eyeing things, looking at specific things. He wasn't keeping his eyes straight, none of that stuff. He was really just like paying attention to specific areas and things, taking in the sights basically, and just, over the course of 2 to 4 months, he had memorized how things went and flowed, so that he can be able to have specific conversations with specific inmates, to be able to prepare for moments like this. And we can just say that we can applaud his specific crew of inmates that, they were able to do their job and do it well per the escape. Now poor Marva, they don't show her here, but they have the doctor come. They give him an update on what Marva's doing and what she's not doing. She's not getting any better, but she also is not taking her meds because she's supposed to, but she's not. She's just being a not so cooperative mother. Had Cashin been here and was trying to, if he was able to be here, to be able to just be in her ear and just be like, look, you kind of need to do this because this is what, this is kind of helping you to feel better. But again, poor Marva, she probably more than likely, by the time Cashin gets back to Ferrex, I honestly believe she's going to be gone. But if he gets to see her, like kind of how like Anakin saw Shmi in episode in Attack of the Clones, like maybe he'll be able to see her just before she passes away, but who knows for sure. But then we also get a chance to see Senta. We get a chance to see Senta. She's there. Everybody, Senta's waiting. People are waiting for Cashin to get back, but she's being watched. I feel like they know that she's a spy in a sense, but they also have what seems to be an ISB agent here spying on everybody. Basically, that's what I feel is occurring here in this scene. So with this guy here, he just more than likely is just a random person. I don't think he may pop up moving forward, but that's just my thoughts on that. And then we move to the homie Davo. Now I put a video out today talking about this specific scene with Davo, with the intro, with him talking about, he hasn't been here in 30 plus years, stuff he can't remember if anything's changed or is the same. But one of the things that I do want to talk about is, one, his outfit. His outfit's dope because it's one of my favorite colors, because blue is my favorite color. So his outfit to me is dope. That's first. Second thing is Mothma's posture when she's sitting here having a conversation with Davo, along with Tay being a basically the middleman of the conversation. It's her expression, it's how she's responding to Davo. I like this specific scene because they're having a conversation that she definitely didn't want to have. She was very adamant about that last week. But again, Tay's just like, look, we just need to have this conversation with him. But as they are discussing things, we are seeing that Mothma is responding in a specific way. She looks away from him. She looks down. Has specific spots in the scene where she hesitates to even respond because she's taking in the conversation, and she looks away from him and she says specific things at him, but not to him, because it's just, she's just not feeling comfortable with the conversation as it is progressing. And of course, we we get the key thing. And that is when she brings up Bernard, what's going on? What's going on, Bernard? How are you? Only thing missing is more space travel scenes. That would be great. Well, why not? I wouldn't mind. Hope you're doing well, Bernard. But yeah, once we get to this moment where Tay tried to intervene on her behalf, and I agree with Dalvo here. Like, even though Mothma didn't want to meet him, he wanted to hear her say from her lips, "This is what I want to happen. This is what I want to occur." These are the funds. She said it like twice about this being a charitable event. This is where the money's going. Blah blah blah. And of course, they're Mothma and Tay are requesting. So even Mothma's demanding that Dalvo takes his money, takes her money, because she doesn't want to, like she said, she doesn't want to owe anybody. And that's understandable, because I'm like, I know many of us were like, if we do something, we don't want to owe anybody. You know what I mean? Like, because it is hard to pay somebody back, even the smallest amount of money sometimes, because every dollar counts, especially if you don't have that type of money on hand to where you're like, all right, I'm gonna give it right back to you within an hour or whatever the case, or that day. Like, normal people don't, if you're looking, literally having a really good friend who's trustworthy enough to trust you enough to say, okay, I'll loan you $100 or $200 or whatever, that you want to keep your and they talk about this too in last week's episode, this week's episode. You want to keep to your vow of giving that money back. So that's why I'm saying, like, I understand where Mothma's coming from, where she says, I don't want to owe anybody, because that's the truth. But again, once he brings up the fact that he wants to come back, he wants to visit, specifically bringing his son, per the tradition of the Sandrilan people, that in the customs and stuff like that, that's when Mothma just like has that response. She has that look on her face. She's like, no, like, why would you assume that I would even decide to even go this route with you? And Dalvo's saying, like, what did he say? Our position sometimes makes us do specific things and go specific routes, just because. And because that is true too. Just being honest, that is truly true too. But once the conversation ended, that's when my dream is seeing Isby Dedra genuinely falling in love with someone. I suspect that she is more emotional than she looks behind her ice cold facade. I believe so. I mean, she's human, but why wouldn't she be able to have an emotional attraction to somebody else? Hopefully that will occur. But I definitely don't hope it's surreal. That's just me. I think a few fans don't want that either, because that was just like weird. A couple of from episode 9. But once Dalvo leaves, I like this spot here, because Dalvo gets up, he says there's a lot to think about, and her response is what I already thought about it. General Kenobi, Jack Evans, what's going on, dude? How are you? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well today. And she said that. What did she say? I already thought about it. And what did he do when he turned as he was going up the steps? He said, that's the first untrue thing that you said. I love that line, because I believe that he knows it is true. And I feel like this is what I want Mothma to do. I don't want her to go through with it. I'm expecting her to, because she feels like she's in a corner. She's tried to do stuff the legal way. It hasn't happened for her. Nothing, the legal way hasn't worked for her. She, Tay had to go this route with, with helping her to get these funds moved in a way that, again, she doesn't agree with. And I believe that she will go through it, but eventually will find out a way to get out of it. Who knows how, though? Who knows how? We'll have to wait and see. But again, as he's leaving, then we see that shiver that Mothma gives. And Genevieve, she does such a great job as this character. How she treats this character, she literally is portraying Mon Mothma in a beautiful and practically perfect way. And this is just letting us know, like, this is why I'm saying, like, with that shiver too, and how she gave just the end of this scene, that I honestly feel that she's gonna go through with it. She's gonna have the meet with his son and her daughter, but hopefully she'll still figure out a way to get out of it, like in that moment, like, to be honest, because that just, to me, that just kind of just sucks. It's kind of being, you're being forced to do something, you know what I mean? So yeah, you know what, I forgot to, there was another spot here, so that's my fault. I thought I did have it, but then we get back to Clea and Luthen, and they have a specific conversation about Lonnie. Specific conversation about it, how it's being over a year. Now, the one specific thing that's standing out is the image in the right corner, in the top right corner, is the head piece that is supposedly Padme's, that she wore in the prequels. But again, that's not the main focus. The main focus is talking about Lonnie in this meetup, and Clea believing that it's a trap. And then of course that's when Luthen says, well, if it's a trap, then we're basically screwed. But that stood out to me as far as the headpiece with Padme. Okay, and then we get back to the prison. Now, I love this scene, the opening, literally back with the prison, the opening portion where we're back with the prison, and your boy's hands were shivering because he's so nervous. He's super nervous. He's worried. He feels like, he literally says, I'm gonna die. And Cassian gets in his ear like, dude, you gotta keep it together, like how Eddie Murphy said in the one movie, I can't remember specifically, but he does say keep it together a whole bunch of times. And then I love that we get the first mention of One Way Out from Kino. This lets us know too that he's going to be the leader of the One Way Out chant. But again, you don't realize that until it actually happens, but at least they mentioned that for sure. My favorite is Dedra. She's been my favorite. Then Luthen, and then of course Kino. But Dedra's been my number one, my numero uno. But yeah, once that occurs, then that's when we see Cassian getting ready to go where he's heading. And where is he heading, you might ask? Because Kino, and specifically, they're waiting for the new admit. The brother here on the right top corner, he goes to where he's supposed to stand, but Kino's like paying attention to where Cassian is, paying attention to the guards, and we get the introduction to the new admit here as he's arriving, getting ready to walk through the sliding doors. But with that, we see Cassian heading to the back to once again work on the pipe. And I love how the prisoners are going on program while grabbing the weapons, various things. And again, like I said, Cassian, he's in the back, pummeling away at the pipes. Originally, I thought where he was cutting at. I was like, well, if he's just pulling the pipe for it to burst, why would he cut? But it's obvious. But then he's basically making a bigger hole and a bigger mess so that the water can flow easily. But with that, I questioned, like, how could the guards not see him, and him being the only person in the entire 5D room, all wet, all soaking wet from the water. But it is what it is. It really is what it is. And then that's when the cue hits for Saul and Naomi to have their little bit of scuffle of distraction. And we see as the new admit is coming down that Cassian blocks it. Now, originally I thought that when Cassian stuck the pipe into the thing to stop the from lowering, that in the trailer that was actually an edited out explosion of electricity or something like that, but that's not the case. I had to look that up. I was like, wasn't there like a electrical thing when he hit that in one of the trailers? But maybe it was, but it was just something they wanted to put in there as a flashy thing. And of course, that's when we get the actual flowing of specific things. This guy here, and I thought I had something specific with him. I may have skipped his on accident. I did. You know what I did? I didn't even use him, or I was supposed to. I have this specific person. I have a video coming out tomorrow on him. Just a funny little moment per this specific scene. It's a 48-second video. It was less than that. It's like 40 seconds. Or 30-something seconds. Like 37 seconds. Per this specific scene, he talks about hyping up the electric pole that he's basically holding in his hand, device he's holding in his hand, and you being of use using it and stuff. And he does get a chance to use it specifically. We get a chance to see him do that, but ultimately, he ends up getting electrocuted by the new guy, and R.I.P. the new guy, right? Because seconds later he gets shot. See at the top left corner there. And that's when they prepare to officially do the revolt, throwing stuff at the guards. And RIP, bottom right corner, RIP to the brother who gets dropped, who we don't even know his name, because again, they didn't build a full-on relationship between him and Cassian, even though they had specific conversations in episode 9 last week. Unless they did name him, but I just don't remember. And Kino, as the water's coming in, Kino is just saying, well, actually the water comes in, and then the one guard up here, he yells to the control panel guy, spark the floor, and that's when Kino yells out, jump on the tables. And that's when they start doing that. And another spot where it happens so instantly, that once people start getting electrocuted, so yours is Luthen, one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, definitely, he really is. Once people start getting electrocuted, that the bottom right corner there, those are actually Kino's feet. I want to say, I want to believe these are his feet here. The water had just missed his feet as the electricity had just gotten shut down. Power went out in the room. And that was great timing. That was great placement. I loved how they did that, because technically Kino could have been gone. Could have been electrocuted, been a wrap. But that didn't happen. So I like how that went, how that flowed here. And then, of course, that's when we get the, attack from Kino. They start doing stuff. Saul, he throws his items, but then he gets taken out. So RIP to the homie here, because as always, per these specific spots, you don't know who's gonna live and who's gonna die. But again, like I said, Kino was the one that mentioned about him dying. So that kind of gives us a headway of what was to come for him. We just didn't. You just didn't know how he was gonna quote unquote not make it. But again, we see specific characters getting dropped, and Saul's one of the main people from Table 5 who go down. I want to say he's the only one, if I remember correctly. But with that, I didn't catch this. Maybe I think when I was doing the live stream watch party this past Wednesday, I may have gotten on my phone for a split moment or something. I can't remember, but I don't remember the water dripping down from the flooring up above and 5D through the ceiling, which is basically 6, and I want to say this is 6D, where, as you see here, the water's starting to drip through the ceiling from where they're at upstairs. So, we see some new inmates that we've never seen before down on 6D, and the water's dripping down. So I thought that placement was cool. As I've been rewatching the episode over and over again, trying to remember specific stuff. But again, like I said, I didn't recognize that before. Now I'm going to talk about this and Kino in a moment, but we know that there was somebody specific talking over the intercom. Their voice was masked per the PA sound, which is smart actually. You want to, if you're doing something, you kind of want to protect yourself. I feel like this is protecting this guy here, people not knowing specifically who he is, so that if he were to leave this room, have a specific conversation with a coworker or something like that, inmates are around, they'll know what he sounds like regularly, but they won't know that it's him specifically over the PA. And that, that covers his basis of protecting himself. So that's actually smart. But then that's when, of course, Kino and Cashing arrives, and we are preparing for one of the greatest speeches of all time. Very emotional scene, and I love how when Kino is forcing stuff to occur, and we also see in the background that we actually see the rooms and stuff, the floors and stuff, and the people, that we actually see that that the people are moving around in the room. But again, once we get past all of that, that's when we get the specific here, where we're literally really now starting to walk into Kino's finalization of what he's been trying to avoid. I'm gonna probably put a video together on this, probably try to find it, because I believe that Andy Serkis did talk about Kino Loy's character, but if I remember correctly from what I heard, is that Kino is a family man. He's just a regular guy out here. If he had a regular job, he would definitely go to his job, go to his job, do his 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, and go home to his family. He has a family. They basically allowed Andy Serkis to create Kino's personal life outside of prison. They actually did that. They let him do that. So I have to find that video so I can see for myself, and then look to try to upload it to the channel, as long as it doesn't get blocked. But this is the inevitable for Kino, right? He's afraid, he's scared, he's reluctant to move forward in this escape plan, because now we know why. But Cashin, he's able to motivate Kino to say what he needs to say, or even make up some stuff too. I feel like he made up some stuff, but then he, again, like I said, he used some of what Cashin was talking to him about too. And I love that here as he's talking to them, telling them this was going on, who he is, what he does. We've taken control. This is where we're at on the 8th floor, blah, blah, blah. And then he says the line of, the system is shut down, all the floorings are cold, and we have the one guy here, the brother here, he steps down immediately. Again, I love the timing of this, where he takes a leap of faith to put his foot down, because it's either he was going to get shocked or he wasn't, and of course he's not. And then we see other members of another area also, they're moving forward, but they're just not sure whether to still trust. Like even the inmates, like the characters were still not sure what was really going on. And I love that, how they were reacting and, really not sure of what was really going on. But I also love that, again, Kino was applying some of his own mindset to this. And I love that we get to see some of the guards cowering in fear, because they felt like that they had this power. And, they now are, powerless. They don't know what's getting ready to come down the line here. And Kino is just saying, like, we realize that they killed 100 men and blah, blah, blah. They can't hide this from us. We know this to be true, factual. And once that occurs, that's when we are seeing them getting ready to leave. And I love Andy Serkis's spot here, because he's giving more of himself in this moment, in these bottom two images, as the doors are opening to the top right, top left corner, and inmates are leaving the area, and he closes his eyes as he's speaking. Again, he's once again using something that Cassian had given him as motivation per their conversation. And Andy Serkis is just phenomenal acting. Like, it's just dope. Just being honest, it's just really, really dope. I did it again. I don't know why I did it again. But also to the bottom two are the newer ones, where we see that Cassian and Melshi meet up. We see inmates starting to push themselves out to prepare to leave. And don't want to do that. And then we get the iconic one way out over and over again, and then inmates yelling it too. But the one thing that we probably weren't paying attention, because we were so focused on Andy's character Kino yelling and motivating people and this, that, and the third. One of the things that we probably weren't paying attention were these two members of the prison team here. They survived. They get a chance to survive. They just left them here, and I thought that was very interesting. But I guess they're just too focused on getting out there that they're like, I don't want to leave any witnesses. But they just didn't care. But then that's when we see them starting to run out, and we see that at least two members get sort of almost trampled over, but they do fall, and they're like covering themselves and stuff like that. So that was bound to happen. I like that they did place that there. That was actually a smart thing to do for them to do. And then we're having them, prisoners going up the stairs. I do like this. Again, we see more of the guards and stuff cowering in fear. We have the one guy here looking through the window here, looking to see if there's anybody in there, but they're too low for him to see them. But I do like this spot here. I do love how they were cowering in fear. Like, seriously. It was great. And once we get them out, that's what I was questioning, guys. I was talking about this last week. I was like, how are they going to get out? Are they waiting for a new arrival ship to get here? Plan it out? But again, per what Cash was talking about, we got to get out of here right away the next day. There's no boats. They're gonna have to jump. There was automatically that bottom bottom left corner there. Somebody had automatically jumped first before the team member from Team 5 ended up yelling out one way out and then jumping. But as we notice, Kino's his fear is, and his knowing that he's not going to survive this is already on his face as they're getting ready to head out to jump into the water. Many people have said, like, why couldn't somebody just grab him? He could just float, and they just grab him and swim him to shore. I still feel like it wouldn't have worked, just because, just being honest, like, is a few people gonna really drag him and carry him and swim him to shore while trying to swim themselves to shore? I doubt it, just being honest. I really do. I doubt that would have occurred. I'm just saying. But we do see that, Kino just knew that it was just, he said it, I can't swim. He says it twice. He says it twice in such a way, though, that in this next spot, he has a specific look on his face. He actually smiles here in the second time that he says, after Cassian said, "What? I can't hear you." He smiles. If you look at that in the top left corner, as if to say, like, I wish I did. I wish I could. I wish I could join you all. I wish I could get out of here, but I can't. And then that's when Cassian gets hit and gets pushed into the water. There's nothing else that they could do. I actually like how I was able to capture the bottom left corner there with the guys jumping out in a specific way. And of course, Kino looking down, knowing that, it is fully on. It is a wrap. Like, he has to stay. I hope that Kino survives, to be honest. I hope that they'll just prolong his sentence and he will still be alive. Now, I added Cassian and Melshi talking. This was before the actual pushed into the water and, Kino's response. But I wanted to just say this with them in the water as they're swimming. If you were really paying attention, the bottom right corner there with the prison where they're at, we have the main group of guys swimming out in the ocean, but we also have where the clouds are there. There's others swimming out that direction, and then on the corner right of the image, there's more people swimming in that direction. So there was 3 sets of inmates leaving into the water, jumping in and swimming out in various directions. So it just wasn't just one specific area. It was just like a couple more places. I was thinking that more of them were going to be swimming out in other spots, but I guess that's not the case at all. Just had 3 specific exits, and I guess that kind of lets us know, like, it's just not one way out. It's more so 3. But it is what it is. And now we talk about Lonnie. One thing to note during Lonnie's travels, we see I think like twice or 3 times, maybe twice, when we see the depths of Coruscant, because we hardly ever do see it. We always see like the top of Coruscant, the glorious spots of Coruscant, and not not where the lower levels, the lower class levels, all of that. We do see aliens down here while he's walking down here. That's there. We have aliens. We had them up top too at Mom Mothma and her husband's little parties and stuff. They were there, and then we see them here. So the aliens are there they're just not showing them in the main areas. But we see Lonnie here. He goes down here, and I automatically knew, I'm like, this dude is mysterious. There's a reason why he's down here. He must be playing a different side of the spectrum. And we see that he has the hidden earpiece at the top. When he gets on this elevator to go down, it even speeds up as he's having conversations with Luthen about his daughter. one thing that I'm questioning with Lonnie's character is, and I love this spot here during the conversation, once he arrives specifically where Luthen is and the door opens, Lonnie's jaw is gripped. If you look at the bottom right corner, his jaw is gripped, and he gets really, really serious, really, really like emotional and upset. Now I'm questioning, because Luthen says, I think about you all the time. He says it like 3 times, I think. I'm questioning, is Lonnie, because Lonnie does say, of all people, how could you know about my daughter, blah, blah, blah. But I'm questioning, like, could Lonnie be either 2 things? Could Lonnie be, 1, Luthen's son, or Luthen's lover? That's a question, because, it's just what I'm thinking. Because again, he kept telling him 2 or 3 times, like, I think about you all the time. And I've groomed you too. He also said that too. I've groomed you. So that's why I'm saying, like, maybe Lonnie's his son, to maybe replace him because of what he says here in this moment to Lonnie. After, Lonnie tells him, asks him, what are you sacrificing? Because I sacrifice so much. And that's when we get the various facial expressions, what he's telling him, and the specific, very dope, very, very intense, just like another great, well-written scene here, lines from Skarsgård per the character of Luthen, and he's being real honest with Lonnie and telling him, I sacrifice my calm, life and love, to be able to live and see a sunrise that I'll never see. I share my dreams with ghosts, that those lines are heavy lines, because he believes, like how Kino believes. When Kino said, just consider me dead already. Luthen's basically saying the same thing. Consider me gone already, because I've sacrificed everything. And I love how, I really, really, truly love how the echo of that everything was just like, it was dope. It was great. And I loved it a lot. Like, seriously, guys, that was just so freaking dope. And I'm just being honest. I thought I had put together, what I didn't. But I have it here specifically. And he tells Lonnie, like, hey, like, stay with me, stick with me, just be here with me, because, I need all the heroes I can get. And then he pushes the button and closes the door to send Lonnie back to the ISB. And then we switch to I was doing the wrong thing. We switch to such an idiota. We switch to Cassian and Melshi running away. So this lets us know that they probably more than likely will be together moving forward, even just for a little bit of time, to actually build a bond together, because again, they are together in Rogue One. They are running out into the cold, into the night. There are ships flying around searching for escapees. You see them in the background here of this image as they are running away, looking for shelter. I think there was one more image, if I remember correctly. And it was of the 3 moons. 3 moons here. And, they end the episode. All in all, guys, like, I think I'm about to end the stream because pretty much nobody's here today, and it's fine. But this stream kind of flowed a little bit more. Trying to think of what I want to use. What do I want to use? But all in all, like Luthen and Kino, they were indeed the MVPs of episode 10 this week. I truly loved them a lot. I actually still loved my Mothma scene with Davo. But Kino's speech, Luthen's monologue, like everything that just like was talked about, was expressed between these two. We talked about it in last week's discussion. Like, the hope is that, Kino will survive. Hopefully he will. They'll just prolong his sentence. We'll still be able to see his character. And, the hope is that Luthen would still be around for a little bit, but the expectation, even now with what he said in episode 10, per what his responses were with Lonnie, which again, didn't see Lonnie coming, did not see it. He was in plain sight. We did not see him being a part of the rebellion. And again, like I said, maybe Lonnie is Luthen's son, because again, like he's told him, I'm grooming you, this, that, and the third. But again, Luthen was just on point. Kino was on point. It was just a beautiful episode, and I loved it a lot. But with that, guys, I'm gonna head out. We only had a couple of people pop in, which is fine. So the guy and Bernard and Jack, thank y'all for stopping in, chilling with me for even just a brief moment. Others popped in here and there. But we had just a great discussion on some things and sharing my thoughts of episode 10, hoping that episode 11, because I honestly feel like episode 10 might be because we only got 2 episodes left, so it's going to be kind of hard to top what we saw in episode 10, to be honest. I feel like episode 10 is the best episode of Andor, because of Kino and Luthen, so it's going to be kind of hard to top unless they do even more with both of those characters, or even Luthen himself, in episodes 11 and 12. And maybe Saul will pop up, maybe we'll gain more of what he brought to the table from episode 8, if I remember correctly. So we'll see what happens. But with that, guys, I'm out. Anybody who's watching the replay of this live stream, leave some comment sections below. Let me know your thoughts. Let's talk about some things. And I'm out of here, guys. Stay safe, stay humble, and remember,